Before the Hurricane Humberto roared across the Atlantic, and before Tropical Storm Invest 94L began shifting its path toward the heart of America's coastline, a warning far greater than wind and rain was whispered into the world. Be prepared, for the days ahead will test both the strength of your walls and the strength of your soul. In a nation already trembling under record floods, searing heat waves and sudden tornadoes, nature has raised its voice once more, reminding us of how fragile we truly are before the storm surge, the flooding and the destructive winds that can sweep away everything in a single night. Why is this happening now? Why do the waters rise higher, the storms grow stronger, and the horizon seem darker than before? Is it only the science of warm oceans, or is there a deeper message hidden in the chaos, something our ancestors knew but we have forgotten? These are not just weather alerts, they are echoes calling humanity to awaken, to unite, to remember what truly saves us when the earth trembles. In this video, you will uncover the truth about these extreme weather warnings shaking the United States, the lessons history has etched in storms like Katrina and Harvey, and the practical steps you must take today to protect your family. More than that, you will find wisdom, biblical wisdom, reminding us that in every tempest there is both danger and divine calling. We will journey through preparation checklists, survival insights, and the healing strength of faith that steadies the heart when the winds howl loudest. Tell me in the comments, do you believe these storms are only natural cycles, or do you feel they are signs of something greater unfolding before our eyes? Share your thoughts, and if this message stirs something deep within you, let your voice be heard like this video, and subscribe for more truth that heals, inspires, and prepares your spirit for the days ahead. The rising storms, Hurricane Humberto and Invest 94L. Across the restless Atlantic, the warm waters shimmer like molten glass, feeding the birth of giants. Hurricane Humberto, once only a whisper on the horizon, now grows with a force that shakes the soul. Beside it, the shadow of Invest 94L lingers, a storm not yet crowned, but already pulsing with potential. These are not mere storms of science. They are reminders of how swiftly the earth can reveal its raw power, how fragile the walls of men appear when waves climb high and winds roar like 1,000 voices crying out at once. In North Carolina, families look out their windows and watch the skies darken, memories stirring of hurricanes past. In Georgia, the whispers of weather alerts echo through radios, warnings that the days ahead will test patience, courage, and faith. Florida, too, keeps its gaze on the horizon, wondering if the storm will shift and bring with it the memories of devastation once known during Katrina, Harvey, or Ian. And South Carolina braces itself, knowing well how salt water can invade the heart of a home, how quickly life can be swallowed by rising tides. The science is clear. Warm oceans feed the strength of hurricanes, turning them into tempests that defy prediction. But beyond the numbers and forecasts, there is the deeper truth. Storms are not only meteorological events, they are mirrors of our own vulnerability. They reveal how fleeting material things can be, how easily power lines fall, how quickly silence descends when the lights go out. And yet, within that silence lies a holy invitation to awaken, to prepare, to remember that survival is not built only on walls and sandbags, but on wisdom, on unity, and on hope. Do you believe these tempests are only products of nature, or do you see in them signs that something greater is calling us to listen? Share your heart in the comments, for voices joined together create strength, and strength shared is strength multiplied. The dangers unfolding, winds, floods, and surges. The dangers do not arrive softly. They come as winds that tear through streets like invisible armies, as storm surges that rise like walls of water swallowing the shore, as rains that do not cease but pour unrelentingly until rivers overflow and fields become seas. Power outages turn neighborhoods into islands of darkness. Families clutch flashlights and whisper prayers, and the fragile threads of routine unravel in the chaos. Flooding, especially in low-lying coastal areas, is the danger most feared. The history has shown us entire towns cut off, bridges swallowed, rescue boats struggling against the current. When water rises, it shows no mercy. It sweeps through homes, carrying away photographs, heirlooms, and every trace of normal life. Those who ignore evacuation orders too often become the stories told in regret, their choices endangering not only their own lives, but the lives of rescuers who risk everything to bring them to safety. And yet, even in the midst of the storm, there are lessons. Storm surges remind us of humility, that no matter how advanced our cities, we cannot outbuild the forces of creation. Winds remind us of resilience, that though walls fall, the spirit of people rises stronger. Floods remind us of compassion, that when waters invade, strangers become family, sharing food, shelter, and comfort. This is why preparation matters. Not only securing homes with plywood and sandbags, not only filling cupboards with water and bread, but preparing the heart with patience, courage, and faith. These dangers, though fierce, do not have the final word. The final word belongs to hope, to survival, to the unbreakable will of those who choose life. Tell me, what do you believe is the greatest danger? The winds that break, the waters that rise, or the fear that creeps silently into the human heart? Let your thoughts be known, for in sharing, healing begins. Preparing the household. Wisdom in readiness. Wisdom whispers that the time to prepare is not when the storm has arrived, but long before its shadow touches your door. It begins with the simplest of steps. Water stored in clean containers, at least 1 gallon per person per day for several days. Food that does not spoil. Canned goods, grains, dried fruits, sustenance that carries you when markets are closed and streets are impassable. Medicines carefully gathered, not only for today, but for the days when pharmacies cannot open. Flashlights with extra batteries, radios that can still speak when the grid is silent. But preparation is more than lists. It is love in action. It is checking on elderly neighbors who cannot carry cases of water alone. It is ensuring that families with small children have the diapers, formula, and comfort items that will ease their fears. It is gathering pets, not leaving them behind, for they too are part of the family's heart. And it is knowing the evacuation routes, practicing them if needed, so that when the call comes, there is no confusion, no delay. Stories abound of families who survived not because their houses were strong, but because their hearts were wise. One remembers a grandmother in Louisiana who packed not only bread and water, but her Bible and photographs, saying, "If I must lose everything else, let me not lose memory or faith." Another remembers a father in Texas who turned his garage into a shelter for neighbors, their lanterns casting light like stars in the dark. These are not just acts of preparation. They are acts of love, and love endures even when roofs fall. Yet there are mistakes, often repeated. Waiting too long to buy supplies, only to find shelves empty. Trusting that the storm will shift away until the last moment comes and roads are blocked. Forgetting cash when machines cannot function. Neglecting to fill the gas tank, only to be stranded. Wisdom calls us to learn these lessons now, to prepare while there is still time. And preparation is not only for the body, but also for the spirit. When the winds rise and the night stretches long, peace comes not from walls, but from the assurance that no storm can extinguish the flame of faith. For every tempest has an end, and after every flood, the waters recede. The rainbow was God's promise after the flood of Noah, and even today, every storm carries within it the seed of tomorrow's calm. What about you? Have you prepared your household, not only with supplies, but with peace? Have you spoken to your children with words that soothe their fears, assuring them that storms may come, but love will not fail? Write in the comments the ways you prepare, for your wisdom may be the light that guides another family through their darkest hour. And so we move forward, from the rising storms to the dangers they bring, from the dangers to the wisdom of readiness. Each step builds upon the last, until what was once fear becomes resilience, and what was once chaos becomes a testimony of survival and grace. Lessons from history. Storms that shaped the nation. Every generation carries its storms, and every storm leaves behind a story that becomes part of the nation's memory. Hurricane Katrina still lingers in the hearts of New Orleans, where the waters rose higher than anyone imagined and entire neighborhoods were swallowed in silence. Families stood on rooftops waving for rescue while the levees broke and the city became a sea. It was not only the destruction of homes, but the breaking of routine, the shattering of trust in what felt safe. Yet, even in that despair, resilience was born. Strangers took in strangers, churches opened their doors, and the human spirit found a way to shine. Years later, Hurricane Harvey poured down its relentless rains over Texas, reminding the world that disasters do not always come in winds, but sometimes in floods that refuse to stop. Highways became rivers, schools became shelters, and people carried their neighbors through chest-deep water. And then came Ian, reminding Florida of nature's untamed fury, the wind tearing through towns and the ocean reclaiming its ancient territory. From each of these storms there is a lesson. Katrina whispered, "Do not wait to act, for waiting costs lives." Harvey taught, "Unity is the strongest raft when waters rise." Ian reminded, "Preparation is not panic, it is wisdom clothed in action." These stories are not simply history, they are parables, guiding us for the storms yet to come. When we reflect on these moments, we see more than weather. We see courage, we see compassion, we see the unbreakable will of communities. They remind us that even when cities drown, love floats, faith carries, and hope survives. What lessons have you carried from storms you've lived through? Share them in the comments, for your memory may become the lamp that lights another's dark night. Common mistakes in times of crisis. When storms threaten, fear often breeds hesitation, and hesitation can be deadly. Too many wait until the last minute, trusting the winds will shift or the warnings will fade. By the time the decision is made, shelves are bare, roads are blocked, and safety becomes only a wish. Some underestimate the power of storm surge, forgetting that water does not ask permission before it takes over. Others think that generators and supplies can be found at the last second, only to discover that thousands had the same thought hours earlier. There is also the mistake of pride, the belief that it won't happen to me. It is the same voice that has kept people behind when evacuation orders came, a voice that too often has been silenced by tragedy. Another error lies in neglecting communication. Families forget to create a plan, to decide where to meet if separated, or to write down emergency contacts when phones fail. And perhaps the most dangerous mistake is ignoring the emotional storm inside. Children left frightened, elderly left confused, hearts left without reassurance. But wisdom is born when we acknowledge our errors and learn. The mistake of waiting teaches the urgency of action. The mistake of ignoring evacuation teaches humility before nature. The mistake of forgetting connection teaches the sacredness of family bonds. To prepare is not weakness, it is strength dressed in foresight. To heed warnings is not fear, it is faith that values life. Think about it. Have you ever delayed until the final hour, hoping danger would pass you by? What if the lesson you share could save someone else from repeating the same choice? Let your words be known in the comments, for wisdom multiplies when it is spoken aloud. Unity and compassion. Helping neighbors in need. In every storm, there comes a moment when walls shake and windows rattle, but it is not the strength of the house that carries us, it is the strength of our hearts for one another. Unity turns disaster into testimony, compassion transforms fear into courage. When neighbors knock on doors to share food, when communities gather in shelters to comfort strangers, when hands reach out through rising waters, humanity becomes holy. There was a story from the Carolinas of a young man who carried an elderly neighbor on his back through waist-deep floodwaters, his strength fueled not by muscle alone, but by love. In Florida, a church opened its sanctuary, filling its pews not with worshippers, but with families in need of shelter. The sound of hymns replaced with the hum of children sleeping safely. In Texas, after Harvey, people with boats, ordinary fishermen, hobbyists, fathers, became heroes, forming what the world would call the Cajun Navy, rescuing thousands without being asked. These are not accidents. They are living scriptures, testaments that in times of crisis, love is stronger than fear. Unity is not built only in storms, but storms reveal what was hidden all along, that we are one body, one people, bound not by circumstance, but by shared humanity. Compassion is the seed planted in small acts, a loaf of bread shared, a phone battery lent, a prayer whispered for a stranger. And when those seeds bloom, they become forests of resilience, sheltering entire communities in the fiercest tempests. This is why preparation must go beyond our own homes. It must stretch into the lives of those who cannot prepare alone. It must remember the widow, the child, the immigrant far from family, the neighbor whose health does not allow for quick escape. In helping others, we strengthen ourselves, and in loving others, we discover the eternal truth that storms cannot destroy. Faith, hope, and love abide, but the greatest of these is love. Tell me, do you believe that unity can truly transform the outcome of a storm? Or do you think survival is only a matter of individual effort? Share your thoughts below, and let us weave together a conversation that heals, inspires, and strengthens. For when voices rise together, they become a fortress against the winds. And as the path moves forward, we see clearly. History gives us lessons, mistakes give us wisdom, and unity gives us strength. From these truths, we walk toward the next chapter, where faith and resilience meet the dawn beyond the storm. Faith in such moments is not a denial of fear. It is the choice to hold hope even when fear is loud. It is kneeling beside a child and whispering, "The storm may roar, but God's hand is stronger still." It is seeing the waters rise and remembering Noah, who built an ark not because skies were clear, but because faith saw what eyes could not. It is lighting a candle in the blackout and recalling the words, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?" Consider the widow in Florida, who after Hurricane Ian swept through, lost her home, yet not her faith. In the rubble, she clutched her weathered Bible and said, "The roof is gone, but the word remains." That is faith in the tempest, a faith that cannot be drowned, cannot be broken, cannot be silenced by thunder. This faith heals. It soothes like oil on wounds, calming the anxious heart. It awakens courage, reminding us that preparation is not panic, but stewardship. It teaches that even in the darkest hours, there is purpose. Storms strip away illusions and remind us of what endures: love, faith, hope. Do you believe these storms are only meteorological events, or do you see them as a greater sign, a call to return to God's presence in the midst of uncertainty? Share your thoughts in the comments, for the conversation of faith is itself a shelter, a place where hearts can be lifted together above the flood. Resilience and hope. Building strength for tomorrow. After the storm passes, after the winds die and the waters recede, there comes a silence, heavy, aching, but also holy. It is the silence where resilience begins. Streets may be littered with debris, homes battered, power lines broken, but within that stillness the human spirit rises. Just as dawn follows night, resilience follows ruin, and hope blooms in the cracks of broken places. Resilience is not the absence of scars. It is the beauty of healing after the wound. Communities in North Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina, and Florida have shown it time and time again. When hurricanes leave their mark, people rebuild not just walls but lives. They plant new gardens where waters once raged, reopen schools where roofs once collapsed, and sing hymns of thanksgiving in churches where pews once floated. That is resilience. The refusal to let destruction have the final word. Hope is the fire that fuels resilience. It is the quiet conviction that tomorrow can be better than today, that even after storms like Katrina, Harvey, or Ian, life returns, and often stronger than before. Children laugh again in playgrounds, neighbors gather again in porches, and communities find a deeper unity forged in the fire of survival. Hope is not naive, it is powerful. It is the seed God planted in every heart that says, "You will rise again." There is a lesson here for every soul. Prepare wisely, act courageously, love deeply, and never surrender hope. For while storms reveal our fragility, they also reveal our strength. They remind us that we are more than victims. We are survivors, builders, dreamers. The rainbow after Noah's flood was not merely a sign of weather. It was a covenant of hope, a promise that life continues. Every rainbow after every storm still carries that same divine whisper. Imagine the child who sees the wreckage of her home, but also sees her parents' smile assuring her, "We will rebuild." Imagine the community that gathers in candlelight, singing songs of faith when electricity has failed, their voices becoming brighter than any lamp. Imagine yourself walking through challenges, yet carrying a flame of hope that no wind can extinguish. Resilience and hope are not abstract. They are choices made every day. They are seen in volunteers handing out bottled water, in families rebuilding with their bare hands, in neighbors offering comfort to strangers. These choices shape the world after the storm, building not only stronger houses, but stronger hearts. Tell me, where have you seen resilience shine brightest? Was it in your own life, or in the life of someone who inspired you? Share it in the comments, for every story of hope sows courage into another soul. And so the journey continues, from the rising storms to the dangers they bring, from lessons of history to the mistakes we must avoid, from unity to faith, from resilience to hope. The story unfolds like scripture written not on paper, but in the winds and waters of our time. And through it all, one truth remains unshaken. Storms may come, but they shall pass. And what endures forever is love, faith, and the radiant light of hope. And so, as the winds quiet and the waters begin to settle, the story we have walked together reaches its gentle close. But even in endings, there are seeds of new beginnings. Every Hurricane Humberto, every tropical storm, Invest 94L, every fierce wave and darkened sky is not only a warning, but also a reminder that life itself is precious, fragile, and yet unbreakably resilient. The storms of nature mirror the storms of our hearts, shaking us to see what truly matters, stripping away what is shallow, and revealing the treasures that cannot be taken: faith, love, and hope. Imagine standing at the shoreline after the tempest has passed, the sky painted with hues of gold and violet, the scent of salt and earth mingling in the air. You hear the quiet voices of neighbors helping each other, children laughing as they find joy even among fallen branches, and prayers whispered in gratitude that life remains. This is the sacred beauty hidden inside every trial, that what was broken can be rebuilt, and what felt lost can be found again. These storms do not only test the endurance of homes, they test the endurance of the human spirit. And time again, people rise. They prepare their households with wisdom. They face dangers with courage. They learn from the past. They avoid mistakes. They bind together in unity. They cling to faith. And they emerge with resilience and hope that shines brighter than the morning sun. Just as Scripture tells us that after the flood came the rainbow, so too after every season of turmoil comes a promise of peace. And now I turn to you, dear listener. Do you believe these storms are simply accidents of nature, or do you feel, deep within your spirit, that they carry a greater message, an urgent reminder, a call to awaken to something more? Your thoughts matter, your voice matters. Share them in the comments, not just as words, but as offerings of light for others who read them, for sometimes a single testimony can heal another soul more deeply than you realize. If this video has brought you comfort, clarity, or a sense of peace amidst the chaos, let your support be a gentle gift back. Like this message, subscribe so that you can continue to walk with us through every story, every teaching, every reflection that seeks to heal and inspire. And if you feel in your heart that these words carried value to your soul, I invite you to extend a little energy of encouragement. so that this journey of sharing truth and hope can continue. Every gesture, no matter how small, is a treasure to me, more precious than you know, and it allows me to keep pouring out what God has placed upon my heart. We are living in days when the world trembles, when nature roars louder than before, and when uncertainty presses on every side. But you are not powerless. You are not alone. Preparation is wisdom, faith is strength, and love is the anchor that holds steady through every storm surge, every hurricane wind, every unexpected trial. And when you add your voice, your heart, your presence to this community, we all stand taller, brighter, and stronger together. So let us walk forward, not with fear, but with courage, not with despair, but with hope. For though storms may come, they shall not last forever. And even in the fiercest tempest, a divine whisper reminds us, "Be still, for I am with you." Carry that promise into your home, your family, your tomorrow. And let this message stay with you, not as mere words, but as a flame burning steady in the winds of life. Tell me, what lesson has the storm taught you? Do you see it as only destruction, or as an invitation to awaken to something greater? Let your voice rise, for together we write not only history, but also hope. And until we meet again, may peace cover you like the calm after the rain. May faith steady your steps, and may love be the shelter that no storm can shake.